What do you think is missing from here? Another project? Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. For those of you who know, I have a daughter and a son who are both in the Air Force. My son is in Japan and he is due to be transferring back here to the States sometime this fall. And he's been asking me to look out for a motorcycle for him. He's been wanting to get a street bike, 600cc sport bike, about 10 years old, something that he can pay cash for and just enjoy riding. So it's kind of fun thing that he and I do. We look at Craigslist, and sometimes he sends me links, and sometimes I send him links, and you know, it's just sort of a have fun and look at stuff thing. But he's a couple months away from getting back, and we found this one on Craigslist. This is 2005 Yamaha R6. It says it doesn't start, and it was a fair deal at well under half of what an average Yamaha R6 of this vintage is selling for. So I went and looked at it and picked it up. Let's take a quick look at it before we unload it. It's nothing too fancy. I don't understand why we have these crazy tank protector things on here, but hopefully that's not covering any damage, but we'll see. I'm not too worried about those. Tires are okay, chain is okay, the body is okay. It's just all around, I call it a 5-foot bike. It looks pretty good from where we're looking at it, but you start getting closer and you see, you know, it's got some scratches and little dings and stuff, but I think it can be a good driver if we can get her going. So I'm gonna get it unloaded, and we'll see if we can't clear out that garage, and I'll get started on this thing. All right, there she is on the stand. I'm gonna show you what's happening with the bike now. Now, my very first instinct on this thing is, here, listen carefully. I'm gonna put you right here. You cannot hear the fuel pump cycling. There's a fuel pump inside the tank. So my very first instinct is that the fuel pump is bad for some reason or another. In fact, here, let's see if we can hear it on this bike. We'll turn it on. That's the noise you should hear. So without a fuel pump, it's not going to start. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this tank up, and we'll see if we can't get into the air box. We'll spray a little bit of carb cleaner into the air box, and if it fires, that'll at least give us a little bit of feeling of hope on this bike, which I have plenty of hope. And then we have to pull the fuel pump out of it. So I'll show you how to do that. Tank is removed, air box cover's removed. I've already found an issue, so we'll see if we can figure that out, but let's see what happens with a little bit of carb spray down each of these. So it's alive-ish, and we will go from there. Oh boy, had a K&N filter. Fancy. Okay, so like I said, I noticed something when I removed the tank. All of these connections were already disconnected. This one actually had this plug in it. And looking at the bottom of the tank, let me tip this over. This fitting right here is broken. This is supposed to have a little piece sticking out of it that this goes on to. This is a quick disconnect. You just squeeze, there's a top and a bottom, you squeeze that, and then that slides off of there. So that's broken. I don't think there's much I can do at this point. I plugged in the 2 electrical plugs and turned the key on, and I could hear the pump cycling. So that was nice that we could hear it turning. But without being able to hook that up, I don't know if there's much I can do. No, it's early in the morning here. So it's later in the evening, where my son is at in Japan, and he suggested that I pull the tank off of my wife's bike and see if that one works on here. It's not the same bike, of course, but it's a Yamaha, about the same vintage. So I might just do that. We might wheel her bike out, it's under that cover, and see if it has the same fittings as this. And if so, we could just set it on here very carefully and see what happens. So let's do that. Well, if this isn't a reason to have multiple bikes in your garage, I don't know what is. And this is the first time I've even had the tank off of this bike. It's been an awesome machine. We pulled the tank off of it. Now looking at this one, there's the broken piece. 2 plugs, and it has a return. On this tank, we have that piece, not broken, as you can see. 2 plugs and no return. So I'm not sure. What I think I'm going to do, I'm going to try it. I'm going to see if the plugs line up. This is the return line. So I'm just going to keep that plugged. This is just the vent line. I don't have to worry about that. So if these 2 plugs go in there, and I can make it sit on here without it falling, I will hook this up and we will see if it'll work. We'll see. Well, it ain't pretty, but it's on there. Let's see what happens. I can hear it cycling. Sound too pretty to me. I don't know how I feel about that sound. Well, not every good deal is a good deal, and I think this R6 got me. We'll run her one more time so you can hear it. Now it sounds amazing. This thing was sounding terrible. This thing was sounding really terrible just a few minutes ago. I actually FaceTimed my son in Japan, since this is supposed to be his project, and we ran it and it sounded like a box of rocks, but now it's sounding good. I wonder if there's just something loose somewhere. Let's try it again. It is burning oil, you can see it. But it's sounding okay. Man, it sounded terrible earlier. I ran it for the video, and then I called up my son and I spoke to him and we ran it and it sounded awful. Now it's sounding okay, even though it is blowing some oil smoke or something. That could actually be, as I say, it could be fuel. No, I think that's oil. I gotta say, I am thoroughly confused because it sounds okay now and it sounded terrible a minute ago. I've had the bike running about 10 minutes. Now I don't know how well you can see the smoke in here. We got some smoke. I think it's actually smoking a little bit less now than it was before. It's got to the point where the fan is kicked on a couple times. Let's see here, we're running 207 degrees. It was up to 218, so the cooling system is working. It was blowing pretty big clouds of smoke out of there when you revved it. Now it's not. It was blowing a little bit of flame action out of there, but that's because we're running this a Kropovic pipe, and there's probably no tuning installed on here. And I don't know how, it doesn't really smell like oil smoke. And since I'm running this fuel line without a return, it may be overpressurizing and pumping extra fuel in there. I don't know how the system works. This pump might run different pressure. Let's see how well she restarts hot. Oh, that's the noise I was hearing. I was like, what the hell is that noise? It's the fan. See, something still sounds kind of rattly down here. So I know my son was excited when I told him that it was sounding better, but I'm still not confident on this thing. I especially don't like the way it's cranking over slow now that it's hot. Yeah, that's not good. I mean, we could have a not so solid battery, and then with the fan running and everything, that could be part of it, but I mean, what if you have to restart your bike? So more to come. Quite a machine here, huh? All right, I let it cool off for a couple minutes. Let's see what happens. Still showing 165. I'll have to check the battery health, see if the battery is good or not. I mean, considering this bike's been probably sitting for a while, the battery's probably okay. That smoke. There's a little rattle in the engine. There it comes. Something ain't right in there. But what is it? There's the noise. What is making that noise? Well, for now, I don't know what to do. We'll have to think about it. I looked up these fuel pumps, and unfortunately it's like a 2 or 3 year deal. Only the, I think 04, 05, and 06 have this return. Otherwise they're all just like the one that I have on there. So I'll have to try to find one of those. There's lots and lots of the other ones available, but only 1 or 2 of these, and they're about 150 bucks. And if the engine is crapped out, then that's going to be another story. So I'm gonna have a conference with my son and decide what he wants to do with this thing, and we're gonna go from there. But for now, yeah, we know it kind of operates. But sometimes, you know, you buy something that doesn't run and you just never know what you're gonna get. I've had a lot of great successes and a couple of failures. So the successes way outweigh the failures, but it does happen. So it's just something, when you're doing something like this, it's part of the game, and you can't beat yourself up over it too much. Just a little bit, just a couple punches to the face. All right, if you're liking what I'm putting out here, please give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button. I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.